Namaskar and welcome to this exciting session on Sattology debunking mythology, Sugriva's Atlas. You had heard many words by the name Atlas, the geographical, the modern post-colonial era maps. But we follow a different map here and we want to explain a different map. As you all have seen in the first three sessions, that Sugriva traveled all over the planet to run away from Wali. And when Bhagwan Ram asks him, he explains him why he knows the whole world, how he knows the whole world. So today we are covering Sugriva's Atlas. We have covered east, we have covered south, we have covered west, and this time we are going Uttar Disha, which is the north. And so without delay, let us welcome our great friend, a scholar and academician par excellence, and I would also call him a scientist. So let us welcome Shri Nilesh Oak.
Namaskar, Aditya ji.
Namaskar.
And last time you also called me Muni, and then said I cannot say anything then. And but of course you corrected me, rightfully so, that Muni doesn't mean the person who does not speak.
Muni
In fact,
speaks. Yeah,
when appropriate, right? When appropriate. Yeah.
exactly.
I think Upanishad has that. Maunam cha amaunam cha nirvidya.
Correct.
So you have to digest both speaking and not speaking and
Yeah.
come to optimal.
Muni is considered silent as well because he
Hmm.
speaks only those topics which are helpful to the all people on the planet, to all the people on the planet.
Hmm. Hmm.
So therefore, he's also known as silent
Hmm.
because he speaks. Nowadays people do a lot of prajalpa. Everything becomes an argument and
Right.
no basis.
Right.
So that is prajalpa and also loose talk, a lot of
Yeah.
loose talk. So coming back to today's topic, and we have seen Uttarakuru, we have seen so many references of north of Kashmir.
Hmm.
Yeah, Kashmir was still part of Hastinapur's kingdom,
Hmm.
but north of Kashmir was also part of Hastinapur's kingdom in Mahabharata.
Yeah.
But in Ramayana Kal, Sugriva traveled there to search for Mother Sita
Hmm.
and or running away from Bali. So
Hmm.
let us get started. If you
Correct.
want to share something, your sharing
Yes.
option is on.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'll start sharing, and just on your point of the kingdom, the Kashmir being part of Kuru kingdom, and even the portion north of Kashmir being part of a Kuru kingdom. Here is not a surprise to you, but surprise to the people who are watching right now, but also those who will watch afterwards. Is that Kuru kingdom, or it was known as a Kuru Jangala, Kuru jungle. The jungle word English, it comes from jungle, of course, from Sanskrit. The Kuru Jangala was there in the Ramayana times also. It already existed in Ramayana times. In fact, when Bharat is coming from Kekaya to Ayodhya, as they are crossing, they talk of Kuru Jangala. That we already know. But here, not only Kuru Jangala, you are also going to hear Uttarakuru today also, and we will see how far back, how far up in the north it was, the Bharatvarsha influence. Okay, yeah. So I'll start sharing, and as you said, we are going to go in the north direction today. All right. So let me bring it and tell me when you see it. Okay, I think you can see that now.
In
Uh,
two places in
hmm,
Mahabharata, in two places, and
hmm,
some people they ask me, why do you bring Mahabharata in the video in this video every time?
hmm.
Mahabharata is the closest recognizable landmass and history as
Yeah.
compared to Ramayana
Yes.
because that's why it becomes more relevant for discussions.
It becomes more relevant for discussion, uh, especially because lot of the things that are mentioned post Mahabharata, many of the genealogies of different kings and so on, different Janapadas, sometimes a lot of confusion has happened in them due to time. But even then, the connection is always made with respect to Mahabharata. They will always try to say, oh, these many thousand years from the time of Parikshit,
Correct.
this king existed, right? So that is so absolutely Mahabharata is the sheet anchor for Indian chronology, therefore Indian civilization, but actually for a world chronology.
Absolutely.
If you want to fix the world chronology, because look at other civilizations, say Mayan, Incas, and Egyptian, and those civilizations, their timeline is also distorted. Okay, their timeline has also been distorted by the Indologist or the European historic folks. The thing is, there is no one to fight for them. Okay, I mean, where are the Mayas? They are in such a tough situation. Same with the Incas or the descendants of Incas. They are surviving. They're basically struggling for survival. How can they fight for their civilization? And some of them, through religious conversions, forced conversions, they have lost reference to their true culture.
Correct.
Okay, so those are the challenges. But yes, so that's why the Mahabharata, you cannot avoid Mahabharata even if you want to. Even if you want to discuss Rigveda, you have to discuss Mahabharata. Okay, because Vyasadeva is the one who compiled it for our times. After some time, encyclopedia also needs a refreshing, right? That
Yes.
is what Vyasadeva did for us 7,500 years ago. So therefore Mahabharata will definitely come. uh,
And one more point I'll mention here is
yeah,
that
go ahead.
the lineage of kings after the Mahabharat war is very clearly described in Mahabharata.
Yes.
So many of the dates which are imposed by the Western academicians and colonial powers, faith-based colonialists,
Hmm.
those are debunked in Mahabharata. Like if you want to
Yes.
reconstruct the history, which is the lost kings,
Yeah.
so the only two references are there, either Mahabharata or the Bhagavad Puran, because Bhagavad Puran has the list as well.
Yeah.
So that's why it becomes more relevant.
Yeah, actually, great point you made. In fact, what has happened is the Western Indologist, and of course, their lackeys in India, and many who were trained in that tradition, you can say, even when they realize that there are many things wrong about the way Indologists did India, tried to put India's history, they cannot uh, get away from it. They cannot get away from it. Invariably, they will use this word. Just like if we are speaking English, instead of Atma, we might end up saying soul. And instead of Bhagwan and Devata, we will say Supreme Personality of Godhead or the demigods, right? I mean, those are not correct
Those are
translations. I
not
mean,
correct
they
translations.
takes a lot of things away. But we have to use it. If we are going to communicate in English, we have to use it. So same thing has happened because many people are trained in that particular level of schooling. They cannot they cannot get away from it. So that is also a challenge. So again, you said correctly. So genealogies exist, but again, you have to come to Mahabharata text to
Correct.
validate these, right?
Correct.
To verify. And very good. So today, let's okay, your dog barking there. Very nice. Today we will go to the north direction, Sugriva's Atlas, from India to Arctic. Okay, and so let's get into it. So again, just to quickly summarize, remember we are talking of a timeline which is 14,000 years ago. We are talking the timeline of a specific year around that time when Sugriva party is going in different direction is the year 12,209, 12,208, somewhere there. We already looked at one Vanara party going in the east direction, another going in the south direction, another going in the west direction. And this is how far Sugriva has described. Okay, in the east all the way to the Andes in South America, in the south all the way to Antarctica, in the in the west all the way to Alps. Okay, and today we are going to see the descriptions given by Sugriv 14,000 years ago, describing the landscape starting with, say, central India all the way to the Arctic Sea. Now, again, just like he said that to the Vanara party going in the west direction, he said Astagiri. He calls Alps mountains Astagiri. And he says, okay, don't go beyond this. I don't know much about it. Okay, it's all darkness, he says. In the south direction, he does describe Antarctica as a Yamapuri. He says that it's a very extremely hostile place. Okay, total darkness and whatnot. And he's referring to Yama, but he says, you don't go there because it will be very difficult to come back. Okay, so he's describing the place, but he's not asking Vanaras to go there. Same thing you will see today, that Sugriva Adityaji does know about the Arctic Sea, but he's not asking Vanaras to go all the way to the Arctic Sea. And we will see how far he asked them to go and why he specifically asked them not to go beyond that point. It's very interesting because that has also relevance for the 14,000 years and what was the geographical, climatological situation in the north direction. So this is the direction we are going today. What I'm showing you is the map of Eurasia, you can say, India at the center, and I'll draw some arrows there. There is a specific latitude 40 that I am showing, and if we have time, Aditya ji, we will talk about it. This is something at your heart also. You have talked about the Meru, but also Mandara, and also some Chakra and Chakravan and all that thing. I have a theory for this latitude 40. Why that is possibly important in Indian astronomy. Only if we have time today we will go there. Otherwise not.
So we can go there today.
Okay, but definitely I want people to note down where it is. Okay, that's as a geographical location. It's very important they note down latitude 40, and then I'll tell you the geographical significance, but I'll also tell you the astronomical significance of that as it refers to ancient Indian astronomy. It was such a perfect, precise astronomy that India had. Okay, all right. And kind of the direction we are going, or the areas that Sugriva is going to describe, go along this line, and you can say slightly on the both sides of this line. Okay, so we are starting from central India and we are going all the way in the north direction to the Arctic Sea. That's what Sugriva will describe. Sugriva is not asking Vanaras actually to go all the way to the Arctic Sea. That's a very important point to remember. The one point I'm just mentioning here is Mount Kailash. Okay, so just people know a relative location where exactly it is. Okay, because it is mentioned in the north direction. Okay, and so the path, that the way he is describing, not the path Vanara should take, but the areas where Vanara should go and search is something like this. So first he mentions a mountain. As he starts describing some landmarks, he says Himashaila, that is referring to Himalaya. Okay, so he's saying the mountain which is full of Hima, the ice, snow, that is the Himashaila mountain. Definitely that's the direction you are going. Then he refers to some smaller mountains. These would be some specific peaks. Okay, he refers to Sudarshana or Devasakha mountain. And Adityaji, do you happen to know anything more about where the Devasakha mountain is in the Himalayas or Sudarshana? Like, I don't know where those peaks are, so I just directionally pointed, saying somewhere in that region.
So
Okay.
in again, I'll take the reference of Mahabharata only because I have not done research on Sugriva's travel.
Uh-huh.
So these names can be from Valmiki Ramayana, refer to the same thing.
Yeah.
So when the Pandavas they leave in the end,
Hmm.
and they first go north, then
Hmm.
they go east, and
Hmm.
then they come south,
Hmm.
all the way down,
Hmm.
and then keeping the ocean. So there they mentioned in the east they go. They just mentioned Meru Parvat is on their left.
Okay.
So they are still referring to the latitude 41 which we're talking.
Okay. Okay. Good. So as Sugriva describing, he says, okay, the Himalaya is what you're going to encounter. Couple of key landmarks he mentions, like this could be there to help Vanaras find the passes, to go across the Himalayas and whatnot. So he says, when mentions Sudarshana, Devasakha, we exactly, at least I don't know exactly which one this particular peak would be in our times. Okay, but he mentions that, and then he mentions some of the kingdoms in that area. Okay, now just don't think it's like, I mean, you are not thinking, Aditya, but our viewers don't think it's exactly along some one line or something. It's directionally in the north direction, because that's the landscape he's describing. And there he's mentioning Tatra Mlenchan Pulindancha Shurasenan Tathaivacha. Remember, he's starting from central India. That's why that Shurasena and all that. Prasthalan Bharatancheva Kurumcha Sahamadrakay. Remember, he's referring to Madradesh, he's referring to Kuru, and we will see which Kuru he's referring to. Obviously, he's referring to central India Kuru, but he's going to eventually refer to Uttarakuru. Okay, which is right now, the broader region, right from the western part of China, Xinjiang, Xinjiang province, all the way to Turkmenistan, to all that area there, just south of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan. That is whole area. There is a Uttara Madra on the west, Uttara Kuru on the east. in that direction. Then he had mentioned Kambojam, Yavanan Chaiva, Shakan, Patna, Kamboj, Patananicha, and Anviksha Daradan Chaiva. The Darad you can find in the northern parts of modern day Pakistan also. Okay, very brave warriors. They in spite of the Pakistan is such a problematic place right now, they are few who are holding on to their Sanatan Dharma in even in our times, but really coming under pressure with the very divisive forces there. And then Himavantam Vichinvatha. Okay, so that mountainous region, that's what you want to look through. So therefore, I showed that map. Now, this is the specific regions I want to show you. Let me slightly move this. Okay, as I'm going to take you all the way further, and then we'll describe some individual regions. Now look at the verse. So I have skipped a few verses from Valmiki Ramayana in between, just to show you that Uttarakuru there. Uttara Kurava Tatra Kruta Punya Pratishriya. And he's saying that is the region of gold and whatnot, and lotuses and precious gems. And if you remember again, Aditya ji, just like people ask you why you go to Mahabharata, well, many times lot more richer descriptions are available in Mahabharata, right?
Correct.
Of this exploration of these lands. For example, after the war, Mahabharata war, Arjun, now they are going to do a Rajasuya Yajna or Ashwamedha Yajna. And Arjun goes in the north direction because the treasury is practically empty with the whole war expenses. And he goes there, brings precious gems, metals and all the stuff. Again, he's going to the north. That is the description we get when the Parikshita is born and when the horse is let loose and the Ashwamedha preparations begin. This is the land of precious stones. Okay, Neela Vaidurya Patradhya. Okay, that's what that's referring to, and beautiful forest and whatnot. So that's the region we are talking. Again, look at where Kashmir is, where Uttara Madras sort of like going northwest. Uttarakuru would be sort of going northeast with respect to Kashmir, and of course, Mount Kailash is to the east. Okay, all right.
No,
So now,
you have made pretty accurate ones also, because when you mention Madra,
hmm,
so actually the Madra Desh is west of Uttara Madra
hmm,
and southwest,
hmm,
and that's pretty accurate. And also Pulinda,
hmm.
Prabhupada mentions that as Greek.
Okay, okay, very good. And sometimes what can happen is a land, say like Greece is like way far in the west, right, compared to what the Madra would be. But when we are say sitting in the central India, you might just say and go further west and you get that particular land. Just one good example, Aditya ji, in India, you might know this word. When people used to go to England or to study during the British times, the person used to be called, oh, he went to Vilayat. If you have heard the word, like going
Correct?
to Vilayat, meaning going to England, going to France, Cambridge, Oxford, and studying and coming back, right? Now, do you know where Vilayat is?
No.
Very interesting. Vilayat is a place in Turkey.
Oh,
Okay.
amazing.
So why did they say Vilayat? Because people would take a boat, okay, that would take them to like as far as to the Red Sea. Then they get down, and then through the land they cross through Turkey, okay, and get to the Mediterranean Sea or some other land routes, and then the whatever route available, bus, train, whatever, to within the Europe. So as far, just like it's saying, like, say, suppose nowadays there are many non-stop flights from between North America and India, but when there we always used to have a take a stop in, say, Europe in the past, right? So it's like, for as far as the people from Mumbai going to America, to them they are taking a flight to Paris or flight to London. So they're saying he went to London, although the person might have come to Atlanta. You know, Similarly, going to Vilayat meaning going in that direction. So the person had to go through Vilayat, and so Vilayat almost became synonymous with going to Western Europe in the Indian context. Something similar, like, so I'm coming back to the point of Pulinda that Prabhupada said. Srila Prabhupada said that is referring to Greek. It would be for that reason. Okay, it is on the way to Greek wherever that
Correct.
is, and therefore they got identified with Greek people also.
Yeah.
Okay, now specifically Ramayana mentions Kailash Parvat. Okay, he
No, the
says,
Pulinda becomes accurate
hmm,
because on the east is Yavana
huh,
and the
and
north is Huna.
very good. And see, that's something maybe again we already talked about it, Adityaji, that I will interview you and you can share some of those things. Because Yavana also, what has happened, everyone confuses Yavana. Many of our Indologists, even pro Indologists, Yavana, immediately they think Greek. So
No.
sometimes, sometimes but that is the problem, right? There is a huge problem. I mean,
Turkayamasu Yavanathya.
mhm.
So the region of so Turkayamasu is also old word, Mahabharat Kalin word hai.
uh,
So it's a Turkey is a Turk
hmm,
Yamasu, ye Purana word hai. And then
hmm.
they are called Yavana because they are the barbarians. Berber, I was astonished to see the word Berber there.
Yes.
The-
Bu- yeah. And do you know the Berber? See, for example, people of Moroccos are also Berber.
Correct.
And I don't know if you have met them. My very good friend, she's a very successful CEO of one company. I will not mention the name. My very good friend, she is from Morocco. Okay, I mean, she grew up in Paris. I mean, she speaks fluent French and, of course, Moroccan, but Arabic and whatnot. If you see her, and that's not a surprise at all, and she jokingly says the same thing too. But so I mean, America, when she comes in the business, they think she's Indian.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean that's just, but she's a Berber, and that's a different story. But Berberas are also fighting in the Mahabharata war, as
Correct.
right,
Yes.
yeah,
Same
and a
word.
very fierce fighters.
Very fierce
Berbers.
fighter.
In fact, when Islam was trying to spread in the northern Africa, they faced tough resistance, and then they have to play the trickery with Berbers. I'll not go there today with the Moroccans, and that's how they covered it. But that is because Berbers are extremely fierce fighters, and we have those descriptions in the Mahabharata war. Okay,
Correct.
yeah. So, but back to this Kailash Parvat, it says now as you go further north, it says tam atikramya cha akasham sarvata shatayojanam, and that's what I mentioned. Like shatayojanam, uh, it sometimes it just comes in the sense of after you go for a long distance, you will get this. It is not always to be interpreted. In some cases, shatayojana may mean exactly shatayojan, 100 yojana, but some other times it simply means a long distance. Okay, many times the word is used in that sense, and it's saying you will go through this area for a long time, which is how aparvata nadi vruksham sarva sattvam vivarjitam. There is not much, there are not many rivers, there are not many trees, anything. Okay, it's like a very what you call bald mountains that you're going to see. This is that area towards, this is actually a path going towards Mount Kailash, the one bottom picture that I'm showing you here. Okay, and then of course you can see the Mount Kailash, but you can see the land surrounding it. Okay, it says tatatu shigram atikramya. Okay, as you go there, as you once, then you're going to see Kailasam Panduram, the white Kailash. Okay, you're going to see the white Kailash. That's what it's saying. And how beautifully it describes that landscape also. Now some of the names with Chinese occupation, the names have changed. In the top picture you can see the peak of Kailasha here. This is from the now what we call Chinese side. It was never a Chinese, but now Chinese are claiming it. Okay, all right. And so let's see the description. Vishala Nalini Yatra Prabhuta Kamalotpala Hausa Karandava Akirno Apsaro Ganasevita. It's a beautiful area around. This is the description of a Manas Sarovar. You can see the name in the next line, by the way.
I want
Eh,
to just capture the word Panduram there.
huh.
The the Maharaj Pandu's name became Pandu because of pale complexion.
Yes,
So
not of
the
some disease or anything. Correct.
not a disease.
Yeah.
Pandu also means copper or pale.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Very good.
and you can see the landscape there, which is copper.
Yeah, and our Pandharpur Panduranga can fit that too. He's a mixture of a white and copper mixing somewhere will become a dark one, right? Panduranga coming from that. Yes. And these if you see in the picture below here, the mountain ranges, now Chinese have a name for it. I mean, that's fair that they obviously would call by some Chinese name. Do you know the name of these mountains? This has a deep antiquity, of course, named after a great Ikshwaku king, but much before Rama. These are known as Mandhata mountains, by the way.
Mandata, correct.
Mandata mountains, okay, after King Mandata,
Hmm.
much long time before Rama, a long time
Exactly.
before Rama, okay.
The whole story
And
is
then
there.
now it says, now see, so the area is beautiful. It is saying there are these birds, there are apsaras coming to this place, but it's also saying avruksham kama shailam cha manasam vihaga alayam. Not many trees in this area, okay, and that is the land of Manas Sarovar. Okay, the Manasam Vihaga Alayam, that's what he's saying. Okay, and Nagati Tatra Bhutanam Devanam Nachara Rakshasam. Okay, it's not unless you are in a very purified mind, you should not try to approach this place. That's what it's saying. It's a very auspicious place. It's a very, adhyatmic place, the Kailash mountain, Manas Sarovar. You shouldn't go with your karmic desires. That is what it is saying. Okay, then now it is describing a further landscape. Now keep in mind, it's not always describing in a linear fashion, but so such a beautiful description. These are the descriptions further north of Kashmir, further north of Kailash mountains. And so some of the descriptions I just got repeated, but I'll go further. Then it is talking of Hema Pushkara, the covered with snow and all of those. But let's come to this. Some very interesting. And you and me, Aditya, had discussed this before. I mean, once I describe it, if you have something to say, you can. Which is where the bamboo sound comes, or something like you had
Shaloda.
mentioned. Hmm? Yeah.
Shaloda.
Chalo, okay. Now
Shaloda.
here, okay,
But
Shailoda. Okay,
Duryodhan
Shailoda,
calls,
right?
yes, yes. Duryodhan calls
Wow.
it Shadoba. But same thing.
Yeah, which correct, name change, right? I
Yes.
mean, Vrindavan becomes Vrindavan, so that will happen. So see, that is the one. Wow, that's excellent. So I didn't know that, by the way. I just knew that as a word. Tamam tu desham atikramya Shailoda nama nimnaga ubhayo tirayo tasya kichaka nama venava. It is talking of special kind of bamboo plantations, the venava. There's bamboo plantations making, make kichaka. The name it is given in the Ramayana times to that particular variety of bamboo is kichaka. What is interesting is, I said, when I saw this, I said, wow, bamboo plantations. So just out of curiosity, I went and tried to study, tried to search the bamboo plantations, where they grow. I know they grow in my area, but I said, okay, they grow that far up north. And with the picture that I'm showing you here, this map, this is the map of the world. And you see this middle portion that is kind of highlighted here, all the way across the globe. Approximately, you can say, along the equator and both sides of the equator. That is a zone of bamboo plantation. That is the area bamboo can grow. And that was surprise to me, in the sense I wasn't sure if the bamboo was going to come up that far up north. And so if you go here, actually that's almost the border of it. If you think, the bamboo plantation does grow. So even the map shows that. Ramayana is describing is 14,000 years ago. I don't know if they grow the bamboo today. More than likely they do, but I don't know that, which is
And
that
it's a region of Kyrgyzstan.
region of Kyrgyzstan, correct, and
Exactly.
western part of China, because
That's
now there are these nationalistic boundaries. Those boundaries were not there. They were
not
the
there.
Janapadas, whichever the area king controls, that would be that particular Janapada, right? Yeah. But yes, Kyrgyzstan, exactly. That is the area, and parts of China, western, that Xinjiang province also. Okay, so even details down to those names, but something more even. Okay, and then it is talking further. What else you find there? Okay, so some words getting repeated there, but okay. Then he says the precious gems are found, Nilotpala Vanai Chitre, all beautiful blue colored forest, but also in terms of Muktabhi Manibhi Cha Mahadhanai. It says the last verse, if you see the first line, Muktabhi Manibhi Cha Mahadhanai, the precious things are found there. And we know this is the area of Lapis Lazuli. Okay, so that's a part of Afghanistan also, the northeast portion of Afghanistan. Then this portion you find lapis lazuli, just like you find in Chile. In fact, what is interesting, Aditya ji, now you're going to Chile very soon. When I was in Chile, and Chile, immediately people start talking lapis lazuli, like what do you purchase as a gift or a souvenir or whatnot. And I said, so I'm always interested, like what is the source, where is the mine and quarry and whatnot. So I said, okay, so where is the quarry for this? And the person at that shop, he said, okay, don't loudly say to people, but of course we have the quarries, but these are coming from Afghanistan, he said. So lapis lazuli that they are selling as a national gemstone of Chile, which it is, was coming from Afghanistan because of the cost consideration and whatnot. My point is, these descriptions are so right on the money
Right on the money.
in terms of geographical locations, climatological location, the plantations, like the what you can say, the paleobotany or botanical, what grows there. and then the kingdoms, which is very, very amazing. Okay, how they describe the horse says the other animals are described,
So if
and
you
so
go to
on.
the last slide, Nilesh ji,
Yeah, yeah.
Cronchum, very
Hmm.
important word. These are the Siberian cranes.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, they come from Siberia to south.
Okay.
Cronchum, because these are
Huh.
same words in Mahabharata and same words
Huh.
there, so I can recognize it.
Oh, yes, in the context of Bhishma, right? In the
Ishma.
context of Bhishma, they come when Bhishma is falling on the ground, and
Yes.
even the Bhishma Nirvana time. Correct.
Many times they have reference there, and
Huh.
also the another word which really hits me is the Maha Arha Mani Patre sa Kanchana Prabha Kesar hai.
Huh.
Orange flowers, kesar
Ah.
flowers,
Huh. Huh.
and which is also common.
Yeah.
And Mahadhane also includes the animals also, because many of the animals
Yes.
which were used in the wars,
Yeah.
like the horse by the shape of a hiran, uh,
Hmm.
long neck, small face. So
Right.
those kind of horses are in these regions.
Yeah. And also for their skin. See, for example, you see in tax submission, many will submit precious, what you call, the deer skins and whatnot to Yudhishthira. We have the descriptions in Mahabharata,
Correct.
and they're coming from these regions, especially the northern regions. So that would be two. And also, I was showing these rivers for also reason. The region is described. Yeah, there you go. So Ubayo, so it says, yeah, Shailoda Nama Nimagna, Ubayo Tirayo Tasya, and the rivers, and on the both sides of those rivers are these plantations of the bamboo. You know,
Bamboo.
yeah, and so the regions are described the way they are described. As you said, very, very fascinating. Okay,
Very fascinating.
yeah, and then this is also, you're going to love it. Now he's describing. I'll just put it here. This, okay, so he's describing how far further north? He says, Tama Atikramya Shailendram, after you cross this mountain, so on and so forth, Uttara Payasam Nidhi. Then you will arrive, or then there is, because he's not asking Vanaras to go that far, is the Uttara Samudra, Payasa, water, I mean liquid, Uttara, Samudra, he's saying. Tatra Soma Girir Nama Madhe Hema Mayo Mahan. Of course, we have many Soma Parvat even in Africa. Indian text describes Soma Parvat in Africa also. But here, this is the Somagiri of the north, okay, and it is covered with the snow. That's what it is saying. Okay, now this is very interesting. Again, you would have read it, but for our viewers, now it is describing this land. Sugriva is describing to his Vanara party going in the north direction. He says, in that area, the Uttara Samudra that you go, you see the Somagiri. And then he says, Satu Desho Visuryo Api Tasya Bhasa Prakashate. Okay, very interesting. Now he says, as if you'll go to the land of no Surya.
No, sir.
Okay, no sun. But he says, in spite of that, it shines very well. Okay, it is shining. Surya Lakshmya Abhividneya Tapata Iva Vivastata. Okay, now what is that possibly he's referring to? Now, with our modern knowledge, it's not such a difficult thing to guess. But precisely for that reason, if somebody doesn't know about the northern lights, okay, Aurora Borealis, or in the south, Aurora Australis, they will say, what are you talking? But that's exactly what he's referring to. So it is a place removed from sun, so to say, but it is still prakashaman, tasya bhasa prakashate, it is saying. And you know what these are. These are the Aurora Borealis. These are the northern lights. Okay. They,
This loka can have another meaning also, Nilesh
of
ji,
course, of course.
that despite sun being very strongly visible,
Hmm.
but it is not that heat also. There is no heat.
Hmm. You can absolutely take that. That is, which is again very true, right? So the sun is there. Even in fact, in summer, the sun is there 24 hours, and still actually the weather is very pleasant. It's not like burning and doing that to you. Actually, it's very pleasant, right? It's bright and it's pleasant. Yeah, you can take it like that. Okay. What you will find again, this again, you said, people will start asking me now, like, why, no matter what I discuss, why I go to Mahabharata. But again, when Arjun is going around, like, during his and what you call, when they were outside and Arjuna had to take a trip, like go away, and that's when he eventually got married to Subhadra, but that 12-year trip, I forgot how long was the trip he has to take, maybe not 12 year, maybe 1 year, whatever that was. When he went around, he went to the north also, and in those description also he describes the land, and the description comes very in Mahabharata very similar to
Very
this,
similar.
which can be related to say aurora borealis or the northern lights too, right? He says it's actually the end of it, the sun, but it is very bright or very illuminated, something that he says. Okay, and Lokmanya Tilak has said, okay, that's more than likely referring to aurora borealis, in
Or
his article. So beautiful. I mean, I don't know, Aditya ji, if you have seen it, but I did live in north. I lived in Canada and did visit further north parts of Canada. And in fact, in the winter time, because then the sunset happens faster, because otherwise sun is always there almost. I would take a flight from say Toronto to Calgary. It's like a 3.5, 4 hour flight, and usually it's an evening flight. And if I'm sitting on the right side, the whole 3.5 hours I'm watching nothing but aurora borealis through the window. That's especially in the winter times. So
amazing.
so so those descriptions are also there. Okay, and now he says something interesting, again a good relevance to this point. He says, "Na katham chan gantavyam kurunam uttarenava." This is a Uttarakuru, by the way. Again, he says, "I'm telling you, I'm describing you the land all the way to the Arctic Sea. I'm describing you Somagiri. I'm describing you the bright areas, even when sun is there or not, or even when sun is there, it's not too hot, whatnot. But I am not actually asking you to go that far." He says, "No kathamcham gantavyam." I'm not asking you to go there all the way to Uttara, beyond Uttarakuru, rather. He's saying Uttarakuru is the limit. He says, "Anyesham api bhutanam no anukramati vaigati." Only special people can go there. This for human beings. I mean, it's not to be, it's not meant to be go there right now. You're not able to come back and so on. Now, what's such a big deal? Because right now people can go. At least in summer they can easily go, we would say. But we have to remember that this is the description of 14,000 years ago. What was happening 14,000 years ago? And I'm going to show you in the next picture where it becomes even more clear with the geographical lineation of that time, exactly 14,000 BC or so, which is the same time. But here, these glaciers, okay, there is this glaciers covering the whole Greenland. You can see the Canada, the huge part of North America, all of UK here, Norway, Sweden. So these are all covering, and this is just an estimate here. So he says, therefore, don't go beyond this. So that's one map here. This is another map, some 20,000 years ago, how far down the glaciers were, okay, in terms of this. And I'm going to show you. So the point he's saying, the Uttarakuru, the Xinjiang province, which is, I'm saying, uh, just north of latitude 40, okay, he's saying don't go beyond that, and because you will not able to come back, it's not easy to do it. And he doesn't give exactly why, but now with the research that we know from geology and climatology, we know that. Okay, for example, this map, not a very good resolution, but what I want to show you is essentially what Sugriva is saying is do not go beyond this point. And that's what exactly comes to the northern portion of that Xinjiang province. But what is interesting is if you look at the what this refers to, you will see here is the area beyond. It's like a Arctic zone. Okay. After that, if you go, I mean, this is like beyond that is all ice cap. Okay. So this is pink color here. That's why I said resolution is not good, but it's a subarctic. Okay, and then Arctic. It's not worth going there. You're not able to go. And just from other knowledge, we know that 14,000 years ago, that was fully covered with glaciers, okay, very thick glaciers. And so very, very interesting that not only he just knows purely from a geographical terms, but what he's describing perfectly matches with now what we know from other branches of science, what existed 14,000 years ago. Okay, that is the time. So he's describing all the way to Arctic Sea, Aditya ji, but he's saying just go up to, in my language, just north of latitude 40. Don't go beyond that. Okay. So let's see. Okay, that's it. Again, anyone interested in the book related to this? Now, my book on the dating of Ramayana does not describe these in much detail. I mean, it doesn't go into the geographical detail. That is what we are doing through this Sattology episodes. Okay, but you can start seeing the relevance of it with the timing and whatnot. So that's the 12,209, or on Amazon, the historic Rama. And again, Aditya, I do show this line because I want to continue to emphasize to the viewers that before asking the question, they should ask question. That is how we learn. But they should definitely go to the blog. They should definitely go to my particular blog that says frequently asked question, FAQ, and go through those that question list before asking the question, so that they can ask newer questions, more exciting questions, and not the same questions again and again which have been answered. Okay, so with that, we'll stop, and if you have time we can talk a little bit about that latitude 40. uh,
Yes,
okay.
we should talk. No,
Okay.
I
Right.
must tell that this was one of the best presentations I saw, because these shlokas I could relate to, because I
Hmm.
have seen them in Rasuya Yagya and before Rasuya Yagya, post-war. And actually, you are in a right, because by 5,000 years during the Mahabharata time, the glaciers must have reduced.
Hmm.
And then, so because there's a specific reference to Duryodhan telling Dhritarashtra that Arjun has went to the place from where Krauncha come to
Hmm.
India,
Hmm.
to Hastinapur.
Right. And actually, I mean, you're saying definitely they must have reduced. I can confirm that, saying that geological evidence actually shows that they were gone.
They're gone. Look
And
at that.
we have a simulations also, geological simulations, to show that they were gone by that
They're
time.
they're gone by.
Yeah. Say, for example, North America, like the way we see, it was completely, I mean, including Canada, like further north, even north of Canada, like northern parts of Canada were completely ice free
Mm.
by 7,500 years, by
Yes.
561 BC, before that, even
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
So
So that,
Krauncha,
I mean, yeah, we have a validation. So Crouch is a good one. Yeah. So it's a, what did you say? It's a certain type of swan?
crane. It's a
Crane,
crane.
crane, crane, crane. Yeah,
Cranes
yeah,
come to India, like
yeah.
they fly very high in the sky, and they're protected species also now.
Right, right.
They
And
come to Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary.
okay,
Very famous.
okay, okay. I think, don't they
Siberian
also go
cranes
south? Don't they also go further south?
go way. They go all the way to Antarctica.
Oh, there you go. Because in January I was there in Pune like a few years ago, and I don't know if they were the same cranes, but almost they know the spot, the timing when suddenly they are crossing it.
They're
And in
crossing
this
it.
particular lake or just outside Pune, like you'll see totally full of them, like literally like whatever their color, it can be seen totally filled
Yeah,
with them.
Indian government, knowingly or unknowingly, I do not know, but the flight paths are changed also, so the
Hmm.
birds are not affected.
Hmm.
So must
Oh, okay, 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 okay. You mean our commercial flights?
commercial flights,
Yeah,
domestic flights,
yeah.
the certain band they close it out.
Interesting. Very good. Glad they do it. I mean, if they have a way of
It
doing
says
it,
it's
and
since British time,
yeah,
World War II.
very good. And
So
so, yeah, quickly the point about latitude 40 that I wanted to mention. It is my theory, you can say, right now, and subject to validation. In astronomy, when the prime meridian is described, and people have, because when some place is not known, people can speculate. It could be this, it could be this, and so on. So that's normal. But prime meridian is described, and it says, starting with, say, Lanka, from Lanka you're going up north, and then it talks about Vatsyapuri, then Avanti, then Sthaneshwar, Kurukshetra. So going from south, we know, from the equator, and going up, and then it says Suralaya. Okay, like a sura, like a deva, alaya, the place of devalaya kind of thing, Suralaya. And somewhere with my co-researchers, when I was discussing, and the subject came, like, where would be this Suralaya that is described in Laghu Bhaskariya, for example? And well, I mean, there we may find the answer with some additional evidence, but as a conjecture, what I put together, I placed, is, I'm saying that has to be possibly on a latitude 40. And I'll tell you why I thought that. Okay, and then I went there, and along that prime meridian, like going through Kurukshetra and Avanti, I try to look for a city in our times, because today it may be a city, that time it may not be a city, but still, there was always the origin of that city, because usually a good place along the river and stuff like that. And so there is one place I found in Kyrgyzstan that you mentioned, Bishkek, and just east of that is Almaty. That I don't know whether it falls in China or some other country there. So I am conjecturing that this Bishkek or Almaty could be those places called Suralaya. Okay, and that is on a latitude 40. They are on a latitude 40, 41, somewhere there. But there is a reason that I thought they should be on the 40, and here is the reason, which is goes back to Meru Mandara, the word Meru and Mandara. Okay, so Meru is like a North Pole. I mean, we all know that. And Mandara is also thought of as another mountain, as if, nothing wrong with that. But astronomically, it has a different meaning also. It has another meaning. I don't mean a different meaning. Multiple meanings can be there. Mandara, Manda motion, it's a slowly moving. So what you find in the precession of equinoxes or precession of earth axis is that ecliptic pole is here, and the Mandara path, the slow moving ecliptic pole path, is into a forms a circle around the ecliptic pole. And if you see the astronomical latitude of that circle, that is around that 40. Because what you see is right now, actually, that's a good way to explain it. Right now, the Polaris is a pole star, and the other extreme of that circle, so if you draw a diameter through that precession circle, the other side of it, other corner of it, other end of it, of the diameter, is star Brahmarashi or star Abhijit or Vega.
Correct.
And the
Abhijit.
latitude, yeah, and the latitude of Abhijit or latitude of Vega is around 43 right now.
43. Right.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying that, just like whatever celestial is equal to terrestrial, whatever you see in the sky has to be here, and whatever is here has to be represented in the sky. And therefore they might have selected that Suralaya along that prime meridian or around latitude 40. This is my theory right now. But see, what I have found, that to make such predictions, you have to be courageous, you have to be bold. Okay, because you can be wrong, and people are so fearful of being wrong, they don't open their mouth.
Correct.
Okay, in controversy, you will find many Indic researchers, they don't participate. Okay, they
No.
are so fearful, they don't want to be wrong once they have written something. In fact, when you show them that what they have written is wrong, then also they just go hiding. They will not come and discuss anything with you, because
Right.
they don't want people to see that they were wrong. Okay,
Right.
so it's a very courageous thing, but therefore, even through our medium here, through Sattology, I'm very happy to do it. So this is my conjecture. I don't have a evidence for it to support it, but I just gave you my logic, my rationale behind why I think it could be Bishkek or Almaty on latitude 40. And that has to do what we see on the ground with what is seen in astronomy on in the celestial world. Okay, so
No,
that's what the point I wanted to mention.
no, actually, see, the thing is, we are like you said, we are all philosophical researchers.
Mhm.
So we take the text of Ramayana and Mahabharata and try to prove whether it is right or wrong.
Correct.
And we may have faults in our calculation, but
Absolutely.
it's a game.
It's
So
a
we're
game.
trying to
Yeah.
understand.
Correct. I
So,
mean, if you don't participate, there is no question of winning or losing. You have lost even before the game began, right? Right. And that is unfortunately the many researchers do that because of the wrong concept.
correct.
Karl Popper says, good tests kill bad theories. We survive to guess again. But many people make this mistake. Say in a Bhagavad Gita talks about not to identify yourself with the body,
Correct.
but what to speak. Some people identify themselves with the suit they wear, right? Or some people identify with the house they live and the car they drive. Okay, even going beyond the body, it's the same thing. Many researchers mistakenly identify themselves with the theories or the claim they make, and therefore
Correct.
they live in a fearful world. I know of some researchers who are good researchers, but they dare not make any claims, otherwise they will be proven wrong. That's
Correct.
what their fear is.
Big fear.
Big fear.
On a lighter note,
uh,
you showed we discussed the Pandu color of the landscape near the Mount Kailash,
yeah.
and and it is mentioned both in Ramayana and Mahabharata. That's the place of Yaksha and Rakshas.
Hmm.
Kuber is the place of residence given to Kuber,
Correct.
and we all know that eh, Dhritarashtra left his body in that area near
Hmm.
Kailash
Hmm.
because he was a Gandharva,
Hmm.
and that's where the Gandharva Yaksha,
Hmm.
and that's why Yaksha tested them.
Hmm.
So on a lighter note, I say, even if China wants to fire a missile from there,
Hmm.
it's going to get misguided. So,
Why? Because of the Gandharvas?
and Yaksha and Rakshas,
Yaksha and Rakshasa and Rakshasa.
because they are always going to protect Aryavrat.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
India again has no fear from the Shastra point of view,
Correct. Correct.
because those places are, they fiercely defend Ganga,
Yeah.
fiercely.
Yeah.
They defend Kailash and they
Yeah.
defend Ganga,
Right.
and
And I would
therefore,
say, yeah.
huh?
No, no, go ahead. I would say we have to help Yaksha and Rakshasas there, Gandharvas, Yaksha and Rakshasa, by bringing the ancient Indian historical records that this is a Indian land, that China is unofficially claiming it to be theirs.
Actually, in Mahabharata, Chin is said to be way on the right.
Correct.
The word Chin is there,
Yeah.
and Chin in
Which would be the Beijing and that area, the
that
Hun
area,
area. Yeah.
northeast, and they're Chin, and they are considered subordinates to Duryodhan.
Correct.
So Duryodhan, Hastinapur was ruling them, and it's in their philosophy also. Many of their philosophies are very closely connected to our culture,
Right. Right.
because
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
I'm talking about pre-Buddhist philosophies, because they
Right.
mixed up the Confucianism, which is complete confusion, with with
Right.
Maoism, which is again a second confusion.
Correct.
And the third one is, so because in Lhasa, the deity Avati Kaleshwar, it's a Tibetan deity,
Uh,
which is from Vrindavan Krishna. And I covered in my next book, which is coming out.
okay. So similar to Avalokiteshvara,
It's
similar
same
to
word,
this,
same
same word. Okay.
same word. It's
Yeah.
a Krishna in Vrindavan wearing a, Huyen Sang also confirmed it, and many of the Bodhisattva,
Yeah.
they're not Buddha. Bodhisattvas are
Enlightened.
from Vedic culture, Devi
Yeah.
Devta,
Yeah. Yeah. Enlightened beings. Yeah.
enlightened beings, and then
Yeah.
they say. But anyway, a lot of similarities. And today was one of the best discussions I had, Nilesh ji. In fact, I loved the choice of shloka that you picked up, because which could directly say, and I could relate to them because of Mahabharata, and so which is directly say where the things are. I think viewers, if you're watching it live, we have a couple of hundred watching live right now, but if you like this discussion, go to Nilesh Oak's books, and you can subscribe to his books and talks over there, and also watch it on Sattology later on when it comes out. Today, one more session has come out on live on Sattology, and I think all of you are watching it as well. So till next week, we'll come up with some new topic and we'll
Absolutely.
discussion. And it's always a pleasant and funny discussion sometimes. So please do watch. Namaskar and thank you.